Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's topic is understanding get and head request methods. In the previous session, we saw invoking the get request method requests from Spring Boot. We created couple of controllers, hello controller and hello world controller. In both the controllers, we saw the difference between using at the rate request mapping and at the rate get mapping. Now today we'll take this discussion a bit further and discuss two methods that are available in HTTP, which are get and head. So get is one of the most frequently used HTTP methods. It could be considered as simple as getting the Google search engine web page when you are doing http www.google.com. So get will always be used to find a resource, to get a resource, and it will always return as a body, whereas head, as per the standards, is not supposed to return any body. Some people will argue that you can have http head method to kind of invoke the get request and to understand whether the application is up and running, and it could also they will also argue that the get method is going to help to improve performance. So today we are going to look at it while doing it actually, that how http head method works and how an http get method works, and how are we going to use the current application that we built to test how the http head method works. So going ahead, so first thing that we'll see is we already created the get mapping for hello and get mapping for hello too. So let's just focus on this particular controller class today, and let's see if we are able to do something with respect to http head methods. Okay, so we'll start the application. Okay, the application is up. Let's try to invoke. So curl, we'll be using curl for this particular demo so that you also get used to invoking http request methods using a different tool. So previous demo we were invoking it from the browser. Now let's try to see how it works with curl. So we can use a minus I to send a get request, and we can use a capital minus I to send a head request. So first let's send the simple get request. So in the response you can see that it returned an HTTP 200 OK. We saw a content type which was text plain charset UTF-8. The content length was available, date is on which the response was returned, and the request body was written. Now let's see. So currently talking about the hello world controller, we can see and confirm that there is no head method that is available in this control. So let's see what happens if we do a head HTTP head on hello endpoint. Sorry. So you can see the difference here. So the get request actually returned as a body, while as the head request didn't return as any body. So the first primary difference that you will see is in terms of request body. That head does not return any request body, and this is as per the standard that in a head request you are not supposed to return the body. Now some people might argue that because we are not returning the body, it is going to give us a performance benefit. So let's see how actually this works. And secondly, you will be interested to know that how is this particular endpoint not available. So we didn't define the request mapping to be, or request method to be, of head, but still a get method is supporting a request http method of head. Okay, so let's see how it works. Now as per general understanding, if the request is not returning the body, the method body should not be executed. So let's see it now. Maybe let's take the same hello controller, and you can see I've already placed a system.out.println hello inside this, and we will be able to see it in the logs that there were couple of inside hello that were printed. So let's try to clean it and again invoke http head request, and let's see. So there is a inside hello that was printed again. So you can see the entire request method body was executed. It's not that it just found this hello and it returned from here itself. It went inside and executed all the lines that are there, and then calculated the response but didn't return it. Okay, so as per me, there would be not much of a performance improvement if you are trying to use a head instead of a get endpoint. Head can be used where you want to cache the responses, where you want to see if the request, if the get endpoints, if the get is basically changed or not. Also, there are different ways of achieving that you can use a range. Okay, range in the request headers that will tell you whether the resource which was getting returned from the get request was changed or not. Now there is another reason of using HTTP head is this content type and content length. In case of applications which are going to return huge responses, or maybe for an application you don't know what is the return type, so you can use HTTP head to understand that the return from that particular endpoint is of which type. In our case, it is returning as text plain. And you can also look at the content length. So this particular header is same as that was present in get request. So another difference that you will see between get and head request is that it should head should always, or most of the cases, should return all the same headers that a get request would return. But in some cases, if there are some headers that are being performed or calculated by get request, those headers can or may be skipped by head. Okay, so let's take this example a bit further. Let's add some code. So let's create a multi-value map, and instead of doing this, let's just go here. So we will be using this particular multi-value map, and because we want to now supply a body, we want to supply some headers, and you also want to give us HTTP status to check how this particular head and get requests behave when we have some explicit headers. So let's come back, let's place some headers here. Okay, now inside the headers we want to put some content, so let's just maybe take, okay, and let's put it in headers. So there is a convention where you are supposed to place an X hyphen, custom headers, but it's been a while from by when this particular convention is removed. So you can also place your custom HTTP headers directly, but let's just follow the X hyphen standard for now. So let's just say I'm going to give a zoned date. Okay, and I'm going to put this here. Let's see. So headers dot port. Okay. Okay. So currently the time that was being returned was GMT. Let's see what happens when we put a custom header called exot zoned date time, and let's populate this. We have already put the header. Let's put the headers in the response also, and let's execute the request again. So first let's execute the get. So you can see the custom header was returned, and we can see the time zone as Asia Kolkata. And now let's see what happens when we try to invoke the head request. So again, the head is also containing the custom header. So we can confirm the headers that you populate will be returned in the same way as they are returned in the get, and we can have some headers that are being calculated within as part of the get request might not be returned on the basis of response that is returned from get, might not be returned in head, but that is a rare case. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the method again. Okay, so what we did is we are invoking this hello. We have created a custom header and we are populating the zone date time, and it's being populated into the response as headers. And forget we are getting this for head, we are not getting the response itself, but we are getting the headers. Okay, now this is about the get and the head. Let's say we saw that we don't have any head endpoint, but the get request was working. Now what if I want to create an head endpoint? Okay, so how will I do that? So first thing that we'll see is we have get mapping, right? But we will not have any head mapping kind of a class. So you can see delete mapping, get mapping, patch mapping, put post. Okay, and you don't see anything related to head mapping. So how do we do it? Let's see this now. Let's create a new request mapping. Okay, public. Let's say we are returning the same thing. Create a method. Maybe you say it as hello3, 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 and say this one is hello3, and this, let's say the value is hello3, and what do we want to do? We want to say the method request method dot head. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work now. Okay, so the application is up. Let's see. So we are going to first do a head HTTP method call, and we are able to get the response. Now some of you might think that this is same or similar, so let's do one more thing. Let's just add a system.out.println, say inside get hello3. Okay, so to identify the difference, okay, we invoked it once and we got inside get hello3. Now the interesting thing that we have to see here is when we have a get mapping, we were able to do a http get, http request method get, as well as head API calls. Here we only have head, so will we able to do a http get method call? Let's see. So we got an exception saying method get is not supported, path demo hello3, and the status was 405, method not allowed. Okay, so request method get is not supported because we declared that request mapping to be of type head. So head is what request method we are supporting. We will not be supporting the get, but the reverse is not true. When the request method or the get mapping of get is declared, we can do a get API call, or we can do a HTTP head API call as well. Now, talking about the performance that we discussed in the beginning, you can see there was very minimal difference between the time that the methods took to execute and return the response. Since the entire method was executed, again coming back to the same point, it will not really be a big performance improvement in terms when you want to, maybe just look at the server and see whether it's up or not. It will definitely help where you do not really want to use the entire response body, where maybe you are just doing a ping request. It will definitely help you see to, maybe if you're not using the get response, then use a head method. But in general, there won't be a big performance difference. Secondly, you can use the head HTTP method to do caching for the downstream request to understand if the resource was actually changed. Third, you want to check the MIME type. So sometimes it could be your media type as file, or maybe you can have application JSON, URL encoded responses, and so on. So to check the content type, you can use head. And lastly, if you see a really huge request, if the content type is really huge, you can again have an idea about it when by using the head HTTP method. Okay, so in today's video this is it. In the next video we'll be going ahead and investing bit more time on the other HTTP methods, namely put, post, and options. Okay, so that's it for this particular video. We'll see you next time. Thank you.